Shalom, we're reading the Bible in a year. We are on, let's see, what day are we on? Day 119, reading 1 Chronicles chapter 17 through 19. Diving in. And it came to be when David was dwelling in his house that David said to Nathan the prophet, "See, I am dwelling in a house of cedar, but the ark of the covenant of Yahweh is under curtains." And Nathan said to David, "Do all that is in your heart, for Elohim is with you." And it came to be that night that the word of Elohim came to Nathan, saying, "Go, and you shall say to my servant David, Thus said Yahweh, you do not build me a house to dwell in. For I have not dwelt in a house since the time I brought up since the time that I brought up Israel, even to this day, but have gone from tent to tent, and from one dwelling place to another. Wherever I have moved about with all Israel, have I ever spoken a word to any of the rulers of Israel, whom I commanded to shepherd my people, saying, Why have you not built me a house of cedar? And now say this to my servant David, Thus said Yahweh of hosts, I took you from the sheepfold, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people Israel. And I have been with you wherever you have gone, and cut off all your enemies from before you, and have made you a name like the name of the great men who are on the earth. And I shall prepare a place for my people Israel, and plant them, and they shall dwell in a place of their own, and move no more. Nor shall the sons of wickedness oppress them any more, as at the first, since the time that I commanded rulers to be rulers over my people Israel, and I have humbled all your enemies. And I declared to you that Yahweh does build you a house. And it shall be, when your days are filled to go to be with your fathers, that I shall raise up a seed after you, who is of your sons, and I shall establish his reign. He does build me a house, and I shall establish his throne forever. I am to be his father, and he is to be my son. And my loving commitment I do not turn away from him, as I took it from him who was before you. And I shall establish him in my house and in my reign forever. Let his throne be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak to David. And sovereign David came in and sat before Yahweh and said, Who am I, O Yahweh Elohim, and what is my house that you have brought me this far? And this was a small matter in your eyes, O Elohim, but you have spoken of your servant's house for a great while to come, and have looked upon me as though I were an exalted man, O Yahweh Elohim. What more could David add to you for esteem of your servant? For you know your servant. O Yahweh, for your servant's sake and according to your own heart, you have done this greatness in making known all these great matters. O Yahweh, there is none like you, nor is there any Elohim besides you, according to all that we have heard with our ears. And who is like your people Israel? And one nation in the earth whom Elohim went to redeem for himself as a people, to make for yourself a great and awesome name, by driving out nations from before your people, whom you redeemed from Mitzrayim. For you have appointed your people Israel to be your own people forever, and you, Yahweh, have become their Elohim. And now, O Yahweh, the word which you have spoken concerning your servant and concerning his house, let it stand fast forever, and do as you have said. So let it stand fast, and your name be great forever, saying, Yahweh of hosts, Elohim of Israel, is Elohim to Israel. and let the house of your servant David be established before you. For you, O my Elohim, have revealed to your servant to build the house for him. Therefore your servant has found courage to pray before you. And now, Yahweh, your Elohim, and have promised this goodness to your servant. And now you have been pleased to bless the house of your servant, to be before you forever. For you have blessed it, O Yahweh, and it is blessed forever. I want to pause here. So there's a new Jerusalem coming down in the book of Revelation. I would submit to you that when he is speaking to David, and he says, "Behold, I will build you a house. I build a house." Where is that verse? It shall be when your days are filled to be with your fathers that I do raise a seed after you, and I will establish his reign before you, and I shall establish him in my house, and let his throne be established forever. I know it's in here. I just read it. Anyways, I'm sucking at the finding scripture game, even though I just read it. So, whatever. The Father is building a house, and he has promised David that that he will build a house for Israel and establish David's throne forever. And of course, who's going to sit on that throne when that new Jerusalem comes? But the Lion of the tribe of Judah, that is of the line of David. He's son of David, right? So it's a beautiful prophetic picture that the Father has already planned out, and he's just filling David in, being like, "Hey man, I think it's awesome that you want to build me a house. I love your heart posture. But you've got blood on your hands. You've got too much going on, so you will not build my house. However, I will establish your throne through your son, and your son will build my house. And by the way, I am building you a house." It's just wonderful. All right. Chapter 18. And after this it came to be that David struck the Philistines and humbled them, and took Gath and its towns from the hand of the Philistines, and he struck the Moabites. What a turnaround. So after all that, he goes straight to battle. Struck the Moabites, and the Moabites became David's servants and brought presents. And David struck Hadadezer, sovereign of Sobah, as far as Hamath. And he went to establish his power by the river Euphrates, and David took from him 1,000 chariots and 7,000 horsemen, 20,000 foot soldiers, and David also hamstrung all the chariot horses, but left of them for 100 chariots. Oh, so he left enough horses for 100 chariots. And when Aram of Darmasek came to help Hadadezer, sovereign of Sobah, David struck 22,000 of Aram. And David stationed men in Aram of Darmasek, and the Arameans became David's servant and brought presents. And Yahweh said to David wherever he went, and David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer, and brought them to Jerusalem. from Tebath, and from Chron, cities of Hadadezer. David brought a large amount of bronze, with which Solomon made the bronze sea and the columns and the vessels of bronze. Wow. And when Tou, these names again, man, sovereign of Hamath, heard that David had stricken all the army of Hadadezer, sovereign of Sobah, he sent Hadoram, his son, to sovereign David to ask peace of him and bless him because he had fought against Hadadezer and struck him, because Hadadezer had been fighting against Tou with all kinds of objects of gold and silver and bronze. Sovereign David also set these apart to Yahweh, along with the silver and the gold that he had brought from all these nations, from Edom and Moab, and from the children of Ammon, and from the Philistines, and from Amalek. And Abishai, son of Zeruiah, struck 18,000 Edomites in the valley of Salt, and he put watchposts in Edom, and all the Edomites became David's servants. And Yahweh saved David wherever he went. So David reigned over all Israel and was doing right ruling and righteousness to all his people. And Joab, son of Zeruiah, was over the army, and Jehoshaphat, son of Ahilud, was recorder. And Zadok, son of Ahitub, and Abimelech, son of Abiathar, were the priests, and Shashah was the scribe, and Benayahu, son of Jehoiada, was over the Kerethites and the Pelethites, and the sons of David were chiefs at the sovereign's side. Okay, chapter 19. After this it came to be that Nahash, the sovereign of the children of Ammon, died, and his son reigned in his place. And David said, "Let me show loving commitment to Hanun, son of Nahash, because his father showed loving commitment to me." So David sent messengers to comfort him concerning his father. And the servants of David came to Hanun in the land of the children of Ammon to comfort him. And the chiefs of the children of Ammon said to Hanun, "Is David esteeming your father in your eyes because he sent comforters to you? Have his servants not come to you to search and to overthrow and spy out the land?" And Hanun took David's servants and shaved them and cut off their garments in the middle at their buttocks and sent them away. And when some went and informed David about the men, he went to meet them because the men were greatly ashamed, and the sovereign said to remain at Jericho until your beards have grown, then return. And when the children of Ammon saw that they had made themselves a stench to David, Hanun and the children of Ammon sent 1,000 talents of silver to hire chariots and horsemen from Aram Naharaim, and from Aram Ma'akah, and from Sobah. So they hired for themselves 32,000 chariots with the sovereign of Ma'akah and his people, who came and encamped before Medeba. And the children of Ammon had gathered from their cities and came to battle. And David heard and sent Joab and the entire army of the mighty men. And the children of Ammon came out and put themselves in battle array before the gate of the city. And the sovereigns who had come were by themselves in the field. And when Joab saw that the battle had been set against him before and behind, he chose some of the choice ones of Israel and put them in battle array to meet Aram. And the rest of the people he put under the command of Abishai, his brother, and they set themselves in battle array to meet the children of Ammon. And he said, If Aram is too strong for me, then you shall help me. But if the children of Ammon are too strong for you, then I shall help you. Be strong, and let us show strength for the people and for the cities of our Elohim. And let Yahweh do what is good in his eyes. And Joab drew near, and the people with him, to do battle against Aram, and they fled before him. And when the children of Ammon saw that the Arameans were fleeing, they also fled before Abishai, his brother, and went into the city, and Joab came to Jerusalem. And when Aram saw that they had been smitten before Israel, they sent messengers and brought the Arameans who were beyond the river, and Shophak the commander of Hadadezer's army, went before them. And it was reported to David, and he gathered all Israel and passed over the Jordan, and came upon them and set up in battle array against them. And David set up in battle array against Aram, and they fought with him. And Aram fled before Israel, and David killed 7,000 charioteers and 40,000 foot soldiers of the Arameans, and smote Shophak, the commander of the army. And the servants of Hadadezer saw that they were smitten by Israel, and they made peace with David, and became his servants. And the Arameans would not help the children of Ammon anymore. Wow. All of that just because the chiefs were like, they come to spy on us. What? Your king just died. It's wild, man. Paranoia does not pay off. It never does. It's kind of the fruit of the Spirit, right? It's love. Love, joy, patience, kindness, gentleness, trustworthiness, self-control. Paranoia kind of supersedes all of those, or overlooks the entirety of the fruit of the Spirit. Because if you're not operating or working in love, you're not assuming the best. You're not, taking someone at their word. I mean, these men, they came to lament the loss of the king that had been good to David. And David wanted to honor that man and honor his son. They're like, they came to spy out the land and see what was good for them. We need to go to war. We need to send a message. Now you're servants. You're way to go. Oh, man. Anyways, that's why you operate in love. Shalom.